All right, YouTube. Once again, it's Kennard Vernon Stewart here for the podcast talking Auburn football. Go ahead and subscribe to Vernon Speaks Sports. Auburn, down in Deep South, college football is king on the plains of Auburn. The battle cry is War Eagle. Auburn is coming off a very successful Big Cat weekend where there have been some really good commits coming to Auburn. Is unprecedented if you consider what Auburn has gone through, especially in the Brian Harsin era. We're not going to talk a lot about Gus Malzahn and his tenure at Auburn. Gus Malzahn has some pretty good recruits, but now we're starting to see some really stable recruiting tactics. I mean, you got 2 5-stars, you got a handful of 4-stars. Now, if you notice my channel, and as I talk about the recruits, my favorite recruits are those high-end 4-stars because those are the type of recruits that build your roster. And you look at the flip of Perry Thompson from Alabama. He had committed to Alabama, and then he winds up committing to Auburn. I think that's pretty phenomenal, considering where Auburn has been before. And then you look at DeMarcus Riddick, the linebacker who had committed to Georgia and now committed to Auburn. Now you have a lot of outlets that are I would say, hating and saying, well, maybe Alabama and Georgia, they kind of cool down on their pursuit of these. No, Hugh Freeze is doing a good job. Hugh Freeze is doing a good job, and he's doing a good job locally. Because if you look at down the line, recruiting wise, it's super local. Auburn hasn't recruited in Alabama like this since I can remember. But we still have to talk about going into fall camp. Yeah, I get all the 2024 recruiting class. I think they're going to be great. They're going to continue to do some good things in that recruiting class. But what we got to talk about is the quarterback battle that is going on at Auburn that a lot of folks are kind of not talking about right now. You know, you got Peyton Thorne and you got Robbie Ashford. And look, man, I don't know. I looked at some video the other day on both, and I think both can be good in different ways. Now, I'm going to start with Peyton Thorne. I think Peyton Thorne has a unique ability to read coverages, and I think that's why Hugh Freeze picked him up, because that's going to be very important. Because you talk about the SEC, and you even talk about not necessarily the 2023 season or the 2024 season. You look at what is happening in the SEC talent-wise in that secondary and in the linebacker position for most of the teams that you're going to have to compete against. You got to have a good quarterback. And I think Peyton Thorne does a great job. Great back shoulder throws. Great at reading the quarterback. Great at reading coverages. Great at reading the anticipation of the athleticism of these cornerbacks. Did a great job at Michigan State. Now, if you go to these elitism people that talk about the SEC being an elite conference, and I think they are, you got some very good athletes that compete in this conference. And reading defenses, reading anticipation will be very huge for Peyton Thorne. But then I'm thinking, okay, Auburn fans, Robbie Ashford is not that bad. Robbie Ashford, when he was allowed to do so, had great games against some of the elite defenses in the SEC. LSU, great game, 300 plus yards passing. But then the play calling started to kind of dissipate down the stretch to where he wasn't passing as much, but he was just as much effective as a running quarterback. And even with some of the abysmal stats as a quarterback, gave Auburn a really good chance to be bowl eligible last year. Because, Brian Harsin got fired down the stretch. And then Carnell Williams took on as the head coach. And Auburn had chances down the stretch to win some games that really could have put them in position to be, bowl eligible. Hopefully not Birmingham Bowl, but, Auburn didn't make a bowl, but it was a situation where, you look at Robbie Ashford, and I just don't think that you can count Robbie Ashford out of this quarterback race. Some play designs put him in great positions, put balls on the dime, and what a lot of folks discount is Robbie Ashford's running ability. Now, I don't think Hugh Freeze will go back to 2013. Excuse me. Will not go back to 2013 and heavily rely on his quarterback's running ability. But what I think he will do, let's just say Robbie Ashford comes in and has a good offensive line. Looks like he's going to have some pretty good receivers. I don't think you can discount Robbie Ashford's ability to win this job. Do I think Peyton Thorne has the more experience and more game? He has more, game. He's got 2 seasons of big time play in the Big 10 with Michigan State. But Robbie Ashford really had some key moments where he was thrown into the fire. He was thrown into the Penn State game after TJ Finley got hurt, which is a situation in and of itself. TJ Finley, Zach Calzada, they'll go to their respective schools that they've transferred to, and what's really crazy is they probably won't even start, especially TJ Finley with the inconsistency. But I just want you guys to look at, I know that Auburn has made its living off of transfer quarterbacks. You look at Cam Newton in 2010. You look at Nick Marshall in 2014. You look at Jarrett Stidham, in that 2017, 2016 era. But you cannot discount what Robbie Ashford can possibly do as the starting quarterback for Auburn he can throw the football. He can run the football. But the thing is, can he win the locker room? Can he show that leadership that Auburn needs to get themselves to the next level? Because Hugh Freeze season 1, the quarterback position will be what will take him to the next level or not year 1. Because you look at what happened at LSU. You look at what happened at Tennessee. You look at other schools that, had some transfer quarterbacks coming in and have an immediate impact. But Auburn fans, I'm going to tell you this. Your best case scenario is Robbie Ashford's development over the course of the offseason. because at an optimal level, Robbie Ashford, with his athleticism, and if he can figure out, hell, we don't know if he can read defenses or not, because the offensive line was kind of shaky last year. If Robbie Ashford can find a way to optimize his potential, he could be your starting quarterback. Like this video, comment, and subscribe. On the plains of Auburn, the battle cries War Eagle. And always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger. War Eagle.